Okay, today's screw up. And those things happen daily. Anyway, now you can really see how, this was so strong earlier, but now that I'm beginning to introduce the reds, it's really pushed it back. Now you can see the necessity to raise the values in chromes in some areas on the roof to make it stand proud of this red. This is okay so far. It's not finished, this sort of side shed, but it's coming well. Obviously it's got more work is needed on it. That's good. I'm happy with it anyway. I like this area here very much. Won't be doing much to that. Here is okay, but it's not finished either. Nothing is finished in the reds. My big screw up was, and it's always for the same reason, I become a little bit apprehensive, a little bit tentative in my strokes. I lose my strength. And, my strength of, my force of will, I suppose you might call it, and maybe don't even pay enough attention to what I'm doing. I painted this rectangle in, and here as well, where the wall meets the roof. And I wasn't too happy with it. I think my shadows were too light, so I darkened them. So now, because they were light, I laid wet in wet, I tried to darken them, and now they just look smeared. So I've taken, the trick that I often use. It's not a trick, it's just a technique, and withdrawn paint from the canvas. That allows it to dry more quickly, because I'm not going to try to remedy this until that's actually dry. I don't mean set, I don't mean slightly dry, I mean actually very firmly dry, so that I can lay some strong lines in there without them smearing into the surrounding area. What this needs is strength. Like you can see these lines here, now they look very, out of place. They look kind of strange. I had something set up here and I ruined it, so now I'm going to have to just ignore it and move on to other areas in the painting. I'm not going to work in any more of this, because that's all. These reds, they take a little bit of time to dry. Those reds actually are, for the most part, Cad Red Medium, Alizarin Crimson, and Quinacridone Magenta, a little bit here, quite pink. And I've used a bit of ultramarine blue, but mostly cobalt blue, to tone them down in the places where I wanted to kill the color. I've used a little bit of, I've only used yellow ochre to warm them up. You can see it here, you can see it in places here. I made the mistake, I think, of adding too much white here, because it goes a little bit pinky. I don't want to get too pink. I like the odd slash of it, but not, this is a red shed. I want it to be warm. So once I revisit this and I lay my lines in to the point that I'm happy with them, and I lay the shadow in under here, which will be, by the way, the shadow strokes will be Alizarin Crimson and likely a bit of ultramarine blue and a touch of white. But that's just the shadow under the eave that overhangs everything. So once I've done that and got these lines fixed again, my highlights, which will be sort of here, okay, the strength in the reds will probably be about here, or the highest, the highest saturation, I suppose, followed very closely by these and then by these. I'll be not using yellow ochre anymore to warm up those reds. I'll be going into Cad Yellow Pale or Cad Yellow Medium, or a bit of both. So they'll go slightly orange, but very warm, very, very warm and very strong. And I'll probably add a bit of white to it as well, to that. But then it won't go pink, then it'll go just a sort of a stronger orange. I don't want this to be orange, I just want some highlights of what you would call orange in certain places to actually give strength to the red itself. So, every painting that I make, I have areas that I fail in and I have to revisit. It's very rare, unless it's a quick study that I do. It's very rare that I actually manage to pull the entire painting off without having to revisit certain areas of it. It's just how it goes. I guess that's about it. I'll just back up a little bit here. Sorry, I'll back the camera up a little bit. So, you know, I've tried, these are all horizontal lines, right? And I want to break them up enough so that I don't have all kinds of horizontal lines and or horizontal lines. Usually when I build a shed like this, I will not have so many individual planks showing. I'll get a little bit crazy with the designs. I would sometimes put, you know, if my walls have horizontal planks painted, then my roof will have more vertical planks painted and various patchwork. In this case, I've got horizontal on the roof and horizontal on these walls. Maybe not here, but here. So I need to make sure that when I redo this, I'm not just, I may put a couple more horizontal lines in there, but I don't want to reinforce this constant left and right, back and forth design. It's not nice. I'd like to interrupt it more, you know. I'm not going to change the direction of anything. I'm just going to obliterate lines in certain places. So when I do this, and actually when I finish this as well, I can't just keep having this going on. I need to change angles, remove some lines, introduce some new ones. You know, a knot in the wood or a broken board is often something that really helps. It's a good aid, you know. It's no, it's not divisive. It's divisive. That's the real meaning of divisive. I'm using devices. So, and as well, I can see it already that the roof is going to need more of these horizontal lines broken up, smeared over, what have you. And obviously, this now can easily withstand much higher value / chroma in the roof in certain areas to really, really bring this sky down, introduce us to the foreground, and then trail off again to the left with, you know, a slice heading off to the right here as well. Again, still ignoring the sky. Okay, that's we're not going to paint the sky and then paint the foreground to adapt to the sky. We'll paint the foreground first. The sky is generally in place. We'll paint the important stuff first, and this will accommodate this, not vice versa. Anyway, I'm still, like, I'm basically as sore as I was yesterday, because that's how pathetic I am. I'm just amazed at how hard my friend can work. Still, 64 years old. Oh, I think I told you that already. He could outwork anybody. Anyway, guys, yeah, I'm just sitting around here moaning and whining and sniveling. Hope your weekend goes well. Talk to you soon.